All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the Run Home podcast. This is a special edition. It's our hype draft podcast. I am very excited to be joined by the greatest fundamental draft analyzer of all time, Clone, and the greatest technical analyst in the history of CSFBL, Rent. Gentlemen, welcome to the party.
Excited to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for raising expectations.
Well, I only really meant it for Rent, but I thought you'd be mad at me if I didn't say something for you too. But no, seriously, I'm glad you guys are here. And for everybody listening that is not part of the Tournament of Champions, don't worry. This is going to be pretty high level, and you should try and follow along anyways, because you might see some tips and tricks, because some of these guys are really good at what they're doing, and then some of them are mediocre, and we're going to determine who's who. No, I'm just kidding. So definitely check that out. And so I figure we'll get into it. But before we do, I appreciate both of you guys taking the time to be here, especially you, Rent, because as we all know, you have twins. So you are generally pretty damn busy. So are you hiding right now to join this call?
I am literally in a closet, actually, yeah, but that's just because it's also my office. But this is like we're recording in like the thin window of time, I think, where we were able to coordinate through everyone's kid schedules between Clone and I. So we're glad we're able to make it work. This is
the weird part of COVID is like people have had to turn like closets into offices, or they like husband wife have had to share the desk or the computer or hand off kids. And how has that been for you? Or are you back to work a little bit, or how is it?
Oh yeah, I mean, we've definitely. Oh, not in the
like
office.
In office, yeah.
My wife and I, just with the kids and everything, it's just been easier to be full-time remote. It's been an adventure making it work, but we're mostly down to a good schedule. But it's been definitely more challenging than it was 2 years ago.
I'm embarrassed to say I'm not sure exactly how old the twins are.
They turn 1 year old in just a couple weeks, actually. Really exciting. Okay.
I knew it had to be pretty close to that. So
it was some crazy timing.
Yeah.
Are they
it's been a pretty nutty year?
Are they? See, I have no kids, and I'm about to prove it. Can they stand up? Can they take steps at almost one?
So they're kind of, my daughter especially is getting like pretty close. While we're like shooting it right here, like I'll call out that they were born like extremely premature, about 10 weeks early, which is pretty massive. And just like generally speaking, if we're like gonna extol the virtues of CSFBL as like a community, there are like, maybe you'd expect it, but like not the resources for dads, especially with kids in the hospital for long-term stays, is like kind of bare bones compared to what there is for moms. And just with like my community of friends and people local or whatever, it was like very difficult to find supportive communities. And I will say that the single most supportive community I found was literally in CSFBL, where I told my story just to some people on the boards, and I got like an outpouring of support. I feel bad. There were a couple of people that were extremely kind and like reaching out and checking up on me, and I wasn't always in like the best headspace to even respond. So I just want to shout out to, well, we're actually going to talk about him a little bit later, but JPAX in particular, I ghosted him on a couple of texts, but he was extremely kind, reaching out to me a couple of times. And there were a couple of other people with twin advice and NICU advice, and I honestly did not find that anywhere else. So just another kind of reason, something that as somebody who's been here through many life stages, did not expect to find that here. But it was really awesome to have that.
Man, that's awesome. That's so good to hear too. I can't even imagine the stress of being in the NICU. I mean, having two kids there, and even with the best hospital care in the world. It's still, I'm sure, very scary, very stressful. And then obviously you're worried about your wife as well. And I'm sure it was tough. How long were you there?
So my daughter got out pretty early. She was there for about 8 weeks, and my son took a lot longer. He was there for about 3.5 months. So that was probably the toughest part when we were split up. Yeah, because it was actually twins was like kind of a cheat code. Not to go on and on about it, but
no, I'm interested
because it was during the pandemic. The rule was that you were only allowed to have one parent in the room with the kid per kid. So there were everybody across the hall. They would just have to like go in shifts, which is like so difficult. And so that was like the best part is that we got a double room and we could both be in there with both kids at the same time. So that was like the biggest advantage. But yeah, that was a year ago, which is crazy, but they're doing much better. They're developing really, really well. And so everybody's very healthy and doing great. And so we're still like kind of like racing against the clock. Like, can they take a step before their first birthday? I think it'll be pretty close, but I think by their like adjusted first birthday in late February, I think they should be walking by then, which is awesome. And it'll be faster.
Projections? Do you have
projections? I used some group regression analysis and figured out that they're the 50% likelihood on January 4th, which is very exciting.
Oh, I see. I'm not sure if he's kidding or not, but I think he actually has a date.
No.
That's awesome. So yeah, I could probably talk about that for a while. It's a fascinating story, and those were your first kids too. So were you like, after you got everybody home, everybody safe, were you like, we're never having more kids? Or were you like, all right, let's go, let's do it again, run it back?
Maybe a bit too personal for this podcast. Definitely good for some time. We're okay right now.
We forgot to put in a code word for when you guys ask too many questions.
Yeah, say a safe word. Yeah,
bravo.
Right. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you finding a hiding space and being there. And then Clone is at a whole different stage of parenthood where his kids are like out doing things, and that their schedule becomes your schedule now too.
Oh, it's been that way for a long time. But I do like that story, about everybody being supportive. I mean, that's cool. And I think I was saying to you at the time too, I think it's funny because, we're a bunch of, TCL guys are a bunch of trash talk and whatever. But all learning over the years, like what a bunch of softies those guys. Like, specifically to me, it's Boise who sometimes can get that Philly coming out, but then when he starts talking about his kids, he's just a mushy. Hey Boise, how you doing? But joke and Jelly and all these guys.
Boise, when I was doing the old podcast, the Threads of Time podcast, he would only listen to it if his name was in it. So it'd be like I'd be like, oh yeah, Rent is on, and he's like, was there a Boise shout out? And I was like, I don't think so. He's like, oh, all right, pass.
Now he's gonna listen to this one.
Yep, that's for sure. But one more thing, because like I went through my tough time like all the way back in like 2005-6 when I was going through a divorce, and I was like very drunkenly and sloppily going through the divorce because it was tough. And the community was so nice to me too. And a lot of people have gone through not exactly the same thing, but enough that they can be empathetic. And, here we are, like, I think that's why we're all here like 15 years later. And the other thing that comes along with being here 15 years later is, the funny thing is you would think I know how the game works, but I still don't. And that's why I am having you guys on here, is because we just did 4 full league drafts all at the same time. And Clone, I got to shout you and the team out. Like it all went relatively smooth, despite the fact that we had one on the forums and one on Discord. We did a live draft, which some of that stuff should be coming out. How big of a pain was it, or did it go smoother than you thought?
It was both. definitely went smoother than I thought, and it was also, I mean, my brain is. That's why I'm worried about you increasing expectations, because my brain has been mushy, because it's
Yeah.
just been. I mean, it's not just me, because it's been. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had those drafts up all week, and it was me and G and Mac and Jar and Elhue and everybody just watching all of them at the same time. So today was the first day I actually got to sit down and look at them. But everybody's been
It's crazy.
really cool. Nobody, I think we were close, but nobody even timed out. Like, I was trying to figure out, like, everybody just figured it out. Maybe that's because they're champions that they were.
Yeah, maybe, but going through 13, 14 drafts in redraft, most of those folks had never gone through a full league draft, and it's really fun. So I think that's probably keeps people engaged, but it is a huge drain. And so like everybody staying on top of it and getting through it all in like what, 7.5 days or something, 8 days.
And most of them didn't know each other. That was the biggest, because
Yeah.
even when we know each other and we're not afraid to text each other and call each other names to get each other to pick, they were able to do it.
I was gonna say, it seems like it kind of put the original redraft league to shame, just because it seemed like I mean, I didn't run them as close as you did, but it seemed like each 4 of these were better than any individual redraft in terms of everybody being like super punctual. I don't know, maybe more behind the scenes, but from an outsider's perspective, it's like, what kind of advantage was there from running one of these before? Because everybody seemed like they were super on the ball. Which could have you were thinking of all the contingency plans, like what happens if somebody times out 3 times and you need to draft somebody off the wait list to take over the team, and clearly wasn't even close to being necessary. So that's great.
Did you really have a triple contingency plan like that?
Yeah, you know me, man. I mean, there's still other things, but I like to plan for the worst, and then at some point in that conversation, people will always say, nobody cares, and then I get angry, because when you don't care, it's the jinx. If you don't care, right? If you don't make a plan, then everything blows up. If you make a bunch of plans, you don't end up needing them. Whatever.
The jinx is real too. So yeah, yep. Shout out to the jinx.
Everybody was really nice to each other. Everybody, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's all gonna fall apart, I'm sure.
And I don't know exactly because we recorded we did some live draft, but it was like 3 hours long. So I'm guessing we're not going to just put that out in a big, huge chunk. But when you see it, the thing that was amazing to me is, with a couple of exceptions, most people only knew each other from the forums or didn't know each other at all. And it just came across like a bunch of people that have known each other for a long time. And go to Rent's point, I think that's the cool thing about the community, is like everybody is there for the same backdrop reason, and then they are just like empathetic or sympathetic enough that they can get along even in unique circumstances like that. All right, so yeah, let's talk some drafts, because we did have 4 drafts. They're all complete, and the idea here, or actually maybe Clone, will you go through the format real quick of what's happening here, and then how people get to the next one, etc.? Just so people that don't know understand what we're doing.
The format as we go through. I think Brett and I both have some predictions we're going to make in here. Whatever you said, my analysis.
No, I mean the format of the actual Tournament of Champions. Real quick for anybody that's not familiar.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
The format of the Tournament of Champions, the reminder. 4 leagues of 8 people. 2 people are going to move on from each one into the finals.
The 2 people that get to the World Series automatically go. Did we ever come up with an advantage of?
I haven't written it up there, but we're going to do a lottery of picks. We'll do the first 4 guys in a lottery and let them choose their draft spot. That was what I think.
Yep.
And then the next 4. And then we tried our best to just even the playing field as much as we could, to have everybody starting from scratch and having to redraft the whole team and get rid of some of the variables in there that just normally happen in the game.
Yeah.
There's still gonna be variations in what happens, and people are gonna get bit by drone losses and be pissed. But or you're gonna,
Yeah, if
there's
we
supposed to be a
want to just
group of death.
talk quickly just about like what it's like to actually like go through a season in one of these leagues. Like,
Yeah, do that.
It's a 160 game season, obviously, but it's really almost, you can think of it as like 2 half seasons where 78 games against drones or 78 games against humans, sorry, and then 82 games against drones. And really, like, what we found is that those 82 games against drones, like, typically you drop somewhere around like 5 to 8 on average. Like, the average team will drop that many, but it's entirely possible for, I expect out of at least 32 teams, at least some people are going to be in the double digits, probably 10, 11, 12. And on the other end, some teams are probably going to be at the 3, 2, 1, potentially even 0. I would not be shocked based off the quality of the teams from what I've seen. It wouldn't be shocking if at least one team goes undefeated through all 82 games. And like, the real kicker here is that, like, over time, like, if you are better against humans, you will be better against drones. But there is like an element of like not always in 182 game stretch, right? Like, if you're or same with the the humans, it's just 78 games. Like, if you're in any league right now that's in like June or July, just like look at the standings page or look at the stats page, and there are going to be players that you're like, wait, like, how the hell is this a top 5 hitter? Like, his rating sucks. Or like, this pitcher I thought would be a Cy Young candidate and he has a 4 ERA. Like, what's going on? Like, a lot of crazy things can happen in a half season. And the way to get around that is just, the higher you set your baseline, the better your chances of weathering those ups and downs. But, I would say, just based off like the math from the way I looked at every team, every single team, even if we're like, oh, this is like the worst team in the league, like, it's not by that much. And like, the like possible like Venn diagram overlaps of what's possible makes like literally everyone has a chance to make the playoffs. And so, like, I think there's a lot of skill, and I would expect like the more talented owners to win most of the time. But I think like it's kind of like March Madness in that, if somebody gets a little bit luckier than you might expect, or just it's surprising in a way that is hard to predict, like, we could see some real big fireworks, which is what I'm like super excited for.
I'm excited for that too. When I first played in redraft, I totally underestimated playing against drones, and I was using it to rest too many guys. And I missed the playoffs because of it, because I had 7 or 8 drone losses, and the 2 teams that finished first had 5 and 1 respectively. And it was like, oh, and so you need to balance like getting your guys some rest, but also don't lose to drones. And the other thing that I find interesting, Rent, maybe you could talk a little bit about this. You don't have to give away any secrets if you know them, but one thing that it became clear for me is there are some people that play better against drones than they do human. And I have some theories in my head as to why that's happening, but am I just making that up, or are there some people that just their distribution makes them better against drones than they would be on average against
Give
humans?
us the secret recipe. Hey, you ready?
Nah, I'm not. I will be honest. I personally, I draft like solely based off how good I think people are going to be against humans, and like I rely
For sure.
on depth to like carry me through against the drones, like depth and endurance. So like, I'm not going to give away what I found to be true there. I will say that, I think there are certain archetypes, and you could track this not just in a redraft league, but just like looking at if there are certain players that you find do better in the playoffs or worse comparatively in the playoffs when the competition is tighter, because that's kind of what this is, right? It's like as if all the playoff teams. No, I mean, it's even that stupid. Forget about that. It's even higher than that, right? But the competition is extremely high. Like the average player, like, in an average league, like, 75 might be an average rating, and in redraft it's significantly higher. And so the way a hitter does against those kind of pitchers might be different in different ways depending on the way they're set up. But I'm not gonna give away too many details about what I found. I honestly don't think it's as you are a bigger proponent of that. Like, you're the kind of person who almost won the league when you had one drone loss, and you were like, I'm just going to replicate this, and then you lost like 14 games against drones the next season.
Yep.
So I think it's
and I even bragged about it. That was the
Yeah.
worst part, is I bragged about my drone strategy being the reason that I got to the final, and then totally tanked. But I do have one gotcha question here. Is we're in the same, all three of us are in the same redraft division, and I'm just curious how, while it's not an act, I do not know how the game works at all. I just like playing, even 17 years later. How did I beat both of you in very smart, intelligent people? I just want to know. I'm just curious.
As I said, there are a lot of possible outcomes.
Don't say luck. You're about to say luck.
Clone, you want to take this one?
I was working on the tournament instead of paying attention to my team.
Oh.
That's my
Okay.
reading.
All right. Fair enough. No, I'm just kidding. And
congratulations again.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, let's get into it though. I'm curious, I looked at the different draft lists, and I saw a couple of them were pitching heavy. There was one in particular that I saw where there's some really sweet middle infielders. I'm curious, as you went through the draft list, Clone, like what did you see there? Because it doesn't really matter, right? It should just be the best players draft the best players, and whatever. But they all the four different leagues did have different things to deal with from when to draft different positions. So just curious, real high level overview. What did you see?
Rent's gonna have more than that. When I went through, I think they were all. All the teams are good. All the leagues were good. There were some times when I'm going through, and I see 2 or 3 teams that have great pitching, and I think, man, did they just have a ton more? And then, but it seems like it's a mix
all worked out,
the different teams and everyone. And there's some, like, I don't know if you would call them experimental, but there's definitely like some very opposing strategies, and I'm hoping that I'm hoping there's not one strategy that wins it. I hope it's going to be a mix of people, but who knows?
The best players. That's the strategy.
Yeah,
I'm hoping
it really is, I think.
Well, and there was some. The other thing I saw is post draft, looking at the teams, there were some teams that clearly went all in on their starters, and some other ones that tried to get some depth. When you were going through, now Rent was kind enough to really dig into this deeper than I think Clone and I did. But I'm curious, what were your initial thoughts once you finished your analysis, Rent?
I think the thing that I'm really curious to see is the way defense ends up shaking out. Obviously, just like how people value defense, just as like a big picture question in this game, is like incredibly complicated, and you're going to get like a ton of different impulses. And I think, like Matthias talked about it when he was on your podcast a while ago, where it's like, probably the best strategy is just to zig when other people are zagging. But I think redraft in general gives you like really weird, it's a very different scenario than what you might be used to in a normal league. Just if you think about what, like, why is like a 99 range player valuable? It's because like the difference between him and the 12th or 13th best fielder in the league with 72 range is a huge difference. But when you only have to draft 8 fielders, and like even if you have like the 8th best like shortstop or center field or whatever, like maybe you can still get like an 85 or 88 guy, and like with a bit more of a bat. And so like, all of a sudden, like, is a 99 range guy like that much better, or is he worse? I think we, just from looking at the way people drafted, like people took like wildly different approaches to that question, and I don't think I have the right answer, and that's what I'm so curious to be like, like I have gut instincts that like maybe some people reached or some people didn't go fast enough on certain things, but we'll get to see it out and see all the different strategies go against each other.
That's the best part, is it all has to get solved on the field, right? So there is no argument. But I did want to have some fun with it and look at the 4 leagues, and and again, it's just for fun, but just make some predictions so that we can follow up on them when the leagues are done and see what you guys think. And I might throw my picks in there. I'm trying to be impartial, but I do have a couple ideas. Yeah. So unless you guys wanted to start with one in particular, I wanted to start with the NL East. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Let's start with the NL East. So just the owners there in one division are CK, G Sabino. I'm not sure if that's the correct way to say it.
We're gonna butcher all these names.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until just now, but I am going to butcher them. Andrelton Simmons, and then J-Dub. And
He's
then
a real player. You got to know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, how do you say it? Andrelton?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, and then on the other side was the number one overall ranked guy based on total titles. That's Ricky Rich, along with Nerm Dog, Tyrus Cobb, and WFN 71. So because I think Rent has some good analysis here, I'm going to start with Clone and put him on the spot. What did you see coming out of the NL East?
Oh man, let's see. This was the league that has the most World Series. There's my big stat for the whole thing, and not just because of Ricky Rich. I think it was 4 or 5 guys that were double digits, and none of the other ones had more than 2. I don't know exactly how that happened. So, and actually, the AL East, that was supposed to be the group of death, has the least. So,
oh really?
Yeah, you can have some people argue.
We got to get J-Dub to J-Dub's team name is still A3. I don't know if he's keeping that as a joke or.
Oh, God, I took so long trying to be like, why do I only have 7 teams like in my filter? Because I kept deleting him because I was like, oh, that's another drone team.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize that was the problem.
Yeah, that's why.
So anyway. Did Clone? Did you see any team that looked like they had the best draft to you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Some of these are tough calls. But
I mean, it is tough because they're all drafting all-star teams, right? So, like I said, we're just having fun with it. But
I think CK had a good draft, which is not going to be surprising because he has the redraft. He has the redraft experience, but and I was curious to see what happened too, because you get stuck into patterns and I mean it is different and not having a history and everything else, but I think he had a real nice draft.
So I wanted to just address that since you brought that up, because there was some talk. Slick and I talked about it, whether or not the couple people, because it's CK and Perry mainly that have redraft experience that are in here, and whether or not they have an advantage post draft. I actually don't think so, because just like Rent said, they zigged and everybody else zagged, right? Like, and so I'm not sure that's necessarily going to benefit them, because like even when I look at whose team was it? I thought it was Nerm's, but now that I'm not. Oh, I'm not logged in. That's why. I was like, God, his team looks terrible, but it's just because I don't have my scouting up. But yeah, so CK and then anybody else.
I have them for each division.
All right, let's
do have that as well, Rent. So I've got CK coming out of that first division. Solid all the way across, monster pitching. He did have one pitcher that like has no control that I'm excited to see if
he's also got like one of the best pitchers I've ever seen at the top of his rotation. So
yeah.
I mean, not actually, but like he's pretty monster ace.
And he gave up on. He's one of the guys that gave up on shortstop on range. So that's the.
Yep.
We'll find out how much that matters.
He gave up on it. Like, I think he probably did that strategically, right? Like, because he assumed that middle infield was going to go fast. So he decided just to take his shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have the PTI timer. We can't spend this much time.
Oh
on
yeah,
every
sorry,
individual
sorry,
team.
Go ahead.
sorry. Yeah. So okay, so who are the two teams coming out of each division for you, Cologne? Or wait, no, actually, I should get Rent's analysis and then do the.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
I agree. Not only do I think CK, we're starting off with a bang here. Not only do I think he has the best team in this league, I think he has potentially the best. Not that they're competing against each other. I think he is maybe the best team out of all 4 leagues. And like more importantly, I think the gap between him and the second best team in his division is the largest in all four drafts, which is not a huge difference. I think he's maybe, four games better than the team in second place. So that's, very easily could go any other way. But from a starting position, I like his team's chances more than any other team that we're going to talk about.
Yeah. And this is the NL East, right? Sorry.
The NL East. Who do
Yeah,
you
Like the
more
three
interesting down on the other
flavors
side?
of analysis here.
What
I'm
do you have down on the other side?
on the other side, I think it's really tight.
Yeah.
I have WFN as like the slight favorite. Just a really well-rounded team. Ty Cobb has like pretty is the other competitor, I think, on top for the second division inside the NL East, with like a much more kind of like lopsided, like not as good position players, but like really solid pitching standpoint. I have those two teams pretty close. So,
I had him flip flop. I had Ty and then WFN is the
and the
sleeper
surprise,
in the whole thing.
I had big expectations, so I'm hoping I'm very wrong here. Ricky Rich, currently, unfortunately, I have him projected as the worst team in the entire NL East.
Oh, really?
So I'm calling him out.
Totally
I'm not.
66,000
disagree.
titles
I
in
don't
1
know
year.
about that. I don't know. About that.
I don't like his team.
Oh, I actually thought other than CK, he had the most well-rounded team. Well, God, but I
gotta
don't
bring him up again. But
I trust Rent more than I trust myself. But boy, like I thought that he did a good job of having the most balanced guys on offense. His pitching is a little suspicious. He's going to really have to hope that a lot of balls get hit on the ground. But yeah, I did like his team.
he is all in on FI. But I like
Yep.
when guys do not care too much about EN, and that's something that I don't know.
That's something that I'm probably,
Yeah,
on
we're
the other side of the
gonna
spectrum
disagree.
from,
We're gonna disagree on that.
All right.
I mean,
So
that feeds back into the whole, having enough depth to handle the drones as well. But yeah, I mean, look, like I will say, like I'm basing most of this off like a projection system that I built that has like a pretty large, kind of error bars. So I wouldn't expect this to be perfect, but off the initial pass of this, not a huge fan. But again, just a few games worse than anyone else. So a lot of things could change.
So final thing, and we're moving to the next one. Who is the 2 World Series? Just to make sure I have them right. And who wins the World Series? Rent. CK
I think CK's team probably is the favorite, but
and who's coming out of the other side?
I would say
WFN.
I think you
gotta put it on the line.
The hot take: WFN wins the regular season title, and Ty takes them in the 7-game series.
Whoa! All right. Okay. So Ty versus CK. CK wins it, but Ty and CK both move on, is what you're saying.
Sure.
All right. Right? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way. I have CK beating Ty.
You have CK beating Ty. Okay, so how I had it, this shows I don't know what I'm talking about, because I have J-Dub losing to CK and Richie Rich beating Nerm Dog, and I went out
totally
on
different.
I went out on a ledge, and I think that Richie Rich is going to win it, but I was also totally jaded by what's the word I'm looking for? I'm
the fact that he won every championship in every single league.
Every single.
He wasn't even in them, and he won championships.
Yep. All right. So okay, let's slide on over to the NL West. This one, on one side, we had Arizona Cats, Daddy 187, which is the best name of anybody in the tournament. DJ, and then Ben MC. Some interesting teams there. I'm very curious what Rent has to say there. And then on the other side is Snowwind, Orlando, Dream New York, and Jerry Park. So Rent, you go first this time. What's it look like?
So the fun thing about this division is, depending on how many decimal points I have, I think the best 4 teams are all in the same division.
Yeah.
Oh, no, okay, by like the slimmest of margins. It's only the top 3 teams, but it's seems pretty imbalanced. The team I like the most in this, which I'm super excited for because I did not know who this person was, is Snowwind. I think his team is like loaded to the gills. He's got really good pitching, and like he's got more slugging than like any team, like, and like really good defense. Like it's hard to find like a or just like he went all in on middle infield defense and all out on defense literally everywhere else, which is another one of those, like, is he right, is he wrong? If he's right, I think the fact that his offense looks really good even for a redraft, and the pitching looks really good. I think this is like the clear favorite in this division.
Yep.
I did not have him up there. I'm re-looking at his team now, wondering.
And who did you have on that side?
I love the slugging. That was one of those where
he's got 97 slugging at like 95 slugging at like 5 different spots, plus another.
Hey, I did that in redraft lots of times and finished in last place.
Yeah, but you would draft like guys that were like 40, 95. Like these guys are these guys are actually good at other things too, which is
calm down. Good. Well, I don't see how you're saying that they're okay. I mean, he has like a high range middle infield, but the rest of the range is non-existent. I don't see how you like this team.
Does it matter or does it not?
Yeah, it does. I think it does. I didn't even have him making the playoffs. Okay, so
we close, and he's all in on FI, but finesse. I don't have to call it FI.
Wait. I got to go back to Rent. Who came out of the other division? You didn't.
The other division, I have Ben MC as a team that would maybe finish third in Division 2, but I think is the clear favorite in Division 1.
Okay, Ben MC, but you got Snowwind and Ben MC in the World Series, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, Clone, what do you got?
I had it very different.
That's good.
Now I'm worried. Now I'm worried about what I got.
No, you have the same thing.
I had Jerry Park.
Yep, I did too.
I like this bats. I mean, I gotta look bat, but he, you see them all, like Snowwind. I don't know. You look at all the teams, you can see the clear trade-offs, right? Except for CK's team, you could see like people either went for defense. They had to give up on something, but I thought his was a pretty solid team. I also had Dream New York, Dream NY, close to that. And then on the other side, I had Daddy. You like his name?
Daddy 187 on an undercover.
That was another big slugging team. He's got a sweet leadoff guy.
Yep.
But he doesn't have any power pitching, and I've changed my mind a billion times about how important the power pitching is. But so we'll see.
And so, who do you have
winning it?
Yeah.
I'll go with Jerry Park because I think he was. I'm biased by him winning a bunch of World Series too.
Yeah. So
he was way up there.
I am just going to announce my picks now because I've given up on trying. So on one side, I had Ben MC beating Daddy 187, and then on the other side, I had Orlando and Jerry Park, but then Jerry Park winning the whole thing. I actually didn't know about Dream New York or Orlando, and I thought they were both pretty close, which is weird because I had Snowwind finishing last. But he has a bandbox stadium. He does exactly what I love about baseball. I build my teams like that. So I don't know why I didn't pick him, because looking at him now, I'm salivating. But I still think that his range everywhere else is so non-existent that it's going to cause him trouble with all these all-stars, because he's going to 3 big parks.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I say like, oh, he's the clear favorite, like, here are the numbers. Like, I think Snowwind, like, my system's like, oh, he's going to win 121 games, and everyone else in the division wins 116 or 117.
Yeah.
So, like, for this league, like, this is how close the gaps are. Like, I feel like I said this every year in redraft, and it's just as true in these drafts, which is awesome, is that the gaps are just incredibly small. Like, a 4-game lead seems like huge compared to, you know, the way every other team is within like a game or two of each other. But think of it, yeah, there's just so many ways it could still pan out. So I think all opinions are somewhat valid.
It's cool that we're disagreeing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so let's head over to the AL West. This one, what?
We need to go back and give NL West the props, because that was the forums draft that we all fought. Whether it was right or not, we all imagined them being, senior citizens that wouldn't be able to find the remote control, and they
finished first.
And because they had opted out of Discord or texting or whatever else, and then those guys showed everybody.
Well, I thought they would just finish last naturally, because texting, you get notifications on your phone's in your hand. Discord, same thing. Forums, you got to be on your game and watching. And because the best you can do is send somebody a PM and they get an email, right? But it still worked, and they crushed everybody. They were on like round 7 before one draft even really got through round 1. So
now I think we should revise. So maybe it's not senior citizens, and it's actually
they're
get rid of Discord.
Like Trimp, and they were all just people that couldn't give up.
The forums are actually the forums are actually better than Discord. We're all wrong.
Yeah, we're going the wrong direction. All right, let's get over to the AL West. I did not know what to make of. I'll stop until you guys say it, but there's one side of this I didn't know what to make of it. One side has Christo, Cymatics, DK161, and D-Backs fan. D-Backs fan, I think I've been in several leagues with him or her. The other side is Elhue, who has been a big help with this, so shout out to him. Super Big Red, been around for a long time. I think it's Fiwix. And then another person that's been around for a long time, VI Incandenza. So Clone, back to you. Let you start off with this one. What are your thoughts?
I miss the days when we thought that CK was such an easy, clear pick. I thought it was really hard on the top one. Yeah, I have Cymatics because I just started really liking the big bats. I thought he was solid across the board, but I had Christo up there too. And he has Christo has some monster pitching if I remember correctly.
And he has a great name, the Wrigleyville Meat Sweats. How can you vote against the Wrigleyville Meat? But except D-Backs fan has best at fake baseball, which is a pretty good name too.
Christo has the interesting pitchers that I want, like guys that are missing one stat. I like those guys.
Yeah, but I think he has the best pitcher in the league, if I remember right, Kurt Smith. He's a lefty, which makes him a little weird, and he's like a 92 power, 89, 88 control, 70. It's a weird distribution, but yeah, he's pretty.
And then on the other side, it was I wanted to put Elhue up there because of all the help he's been given,
and his name is.
I had to throw him under the bus.
Zubaz, give me your cash is his team name.
So I have Super Big Red on that side because I just wanted him. He's going to strike everybody out. I'm going for the power pitching on that side.
Montreal all the way. I should have given some more shout outs because some of these team names are classic. So who wins Cristo or Super Big Red?
Oh, I didn't. Super Big Red.
Super
All
Big Red.
strikeouts. Strikeouts matter.
Strikeouts matter. Yes, they do. All right, Brent, break it down.
So Division One, I think I have very similar, where I also have Cy and Cristo as the two best teams in that division. I think Cristo's pitching, even though I think Cy's team is probably a little bit better overall. I think in a 7-game series, I would side with Cristo a little bit more off the top of my head, but that's so hard to predict, right? I think those two teams are really close. But I have them also as the top two teams in that division. And then there's no qualms about it on my side. I have LHU as the best team in the whole league. I think his offense is pretty monstrous. So I'm a big fan, and that's not just because he ran all the draft boards. So
Sorry, LU.
I'm all in on the LHU
Really?
train. Woo woo.
Okay. So
he got off the defense. He was another guy that
so
decided to go
that's
light
the
on
problem.
defense.
Is that VI the man himself? He's I think his team is actually really close. I think those are the top two. I have those as the top two teams in the whole AL West. And I think I'm actually kind of hoping that we get a divisional matchup between the two, because it's like total like VI's like offense. I don't think it's particularly good, but his pitching I think is the best. I personally think it's the best in the whole league.
He's got a ton of speed too. He's one of the only guys that managed to get it really fast.
So I just think those two teams are like set up really differently and would be a good like contrasting styles. And I think they're potentially the two best teams. So that's what my hope is, at least for the division series.
okay, so I differ a little bit. I actually thought Cy Maddox had the best team in this league. For a variety of reasons. He had solid hitters, but he has 4 or 5 two-way players at all the right positions. His pitching is good, not great. But if you look at the other teams, like I don't see the same single weakness that I see other places, with the exception of VI and sorry, that's on the other side. VI and LHU on the other side, for me, was probably the toughest pick, because I liked all those teams. I like Fiwix too. We didn't mention him. All those teams are good, but VI and LHU. And then on this side, it was Cy Maddox looked like the best to me. And then I was a coin flip between D Baxman and Cristo.
I'm the only one that was on Big Red. I got overwhelmed by the power.
By the power.
But I think
I had a lot of fun with teams that were with the high strikeout guys. But
I'm too in love with power in my real game. So like, I think I was like trying not to screw up by just picking teams after my own heart, because I would have probably picked his team otherwise. Anybody that has that many 92 plus slugging guys can stay in my spare bedroom anytime.
You like want them to be good just so you feel better about your own team habits.
Yes.
But I picked Cy Maddox to win this thing, so it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. You guys did not like him as much as I did.
No, what I have him as.
Oh yeah, you did have him in the.
I think we both had him as the first or second best team. So I didn't have him as the first or second best overall, but I think in that division, I think he's either the favorite or co-favorite.
Did you see just Diamondbacks D-backs went all in on finesse like never seen before?
He's like
that'll be a fun one to watch.
Average or whatever, and like no other skills.
That'll be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm not sure it works against all these clubbers. It might. But if it does work, it's going to work to an extreme. He might throw a couple dozen no-hitters this year.
I think it's like he's got, all 97 finesse guys that like can't really do anything else. And so I have not found that to be amazingly successful in this format. But
finesse guys don't work against humans, but they destroy drones.
It's actually, I mean, just to go into it, it seems like really interesting, because if there was one strategy that I would have expected, like when talking about like zigging whenever there are people zag. Like the idea is like, oh, like I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna get all finesse and all middle infield and like nothing else. That would be like the one thing that I would think that like everybody was going for and that you couldn't jump on. So it's like I would have expected somebody to like be like, oh, I've got all the control pitchers or all the power pitchers and no defense, right? And so it's really interesting that somebody was able to grab all
to
of those
snag
players.
them all.
I just don't know if the overall quality is good enough, but if it is, like it would be awesome.
One thing that I wonder if it didn't happen in this league that clearly happened in some of the other leagues is after they got 4 or 5 rounds in, you could start to see people realize that they had to draft a little bit defensively with the other owners and start to think, okay, what is this guy's strategy? And what do I need to make sure I get here? Or what do I think they want? And maybe I was reading into it too much, but like, especially with the AL East, which was the draft I looked at the closest, it sure looked like that's what people were starting to do, which I think is a quick way to overthink yourself into a corner. At the same time, like we've seen it in redraft, if you have a chance to block somebody from getting a shortstop altogether, you might take a second one, turn him into a second baseman or something. All right, speaking of which,
there were times when I felt like I was in the zone when I would text you, when I was able to predict everybody's picks coming up.
The Matrix.
Yep. I don't have that right now.
Okay, let's get to the last one here, the AL East. This is one that I think you said, Clone, you said was supposed to be Murderers Row, and they ended up having the least championships.
They were saying at the time. I mean, I think it's a more well-known group of guys.
Yeah,
they're the outspoken guys that were willing to do a live draft.
So in this one is the guy I talk about every podcast just to goad him into coming on the show. But also because he is the worst owner in history. Big Pimpin'. Actually, he's one of my favorite people on earth, and he is maybe a top 5 owner all time. I think that's is not a laughable statement by any means. Also, B-Mike's, Demo. Demo's been around for a long time. I'm in a remake with him, I think. Bobcat, good group of guys. And then on the other side is Perry Carter. That's the other redraft owner. He's also the founder of redraft. So if he doesn't do well, he should be ashamed of himself and never show his face again. Jay Kohler, Slick Laptop, and JPEGs. So there is some history here with these guys. Like a lot of these guys have been around for 17 years plus. Rent, break this down for us. I don't know what to think.
So I do kind of think Division 2 will start. Actually, I think both of these you could kind of classify them as division of deaths. Maybe not with like number of World Series won, but just in the chance that I think that there are 7 extremely equal teams. I do think the 3 best teams in the league are all in Division 2, which is really interesting. And I think the maybe the 32nd best draft out of all 32 is also in this division. So
oh, that's good.
You couldn't skip that.
Yeah.
Well, you got to talk about the most of the best, and also I think just to break it down, I think I like Slick Laptop's team quite a bit. I think he's got a really well-rounded team. I think it's really interesting as like a big proponent of like putting everything in a spreadsheet and putting math to it. Like I've had talks with him and like I'll openly say I think his methodology has not always been the best. Maybe he's improved it a lot. I think this draft worked out really well. And I think just like having some kind of ranking system, even if you like have a file and you name it like caveman.csv and it's just like a big flashing like neon sign inside that's like high ratings good, bad, low ratings bad, and like there's no actual math inside, like I think that gets you like 60% of the way there. And like it's just such like so much more valuable than just kind of winging it. I think you just miss so many fewer good players. And so I think Slick is my favorite, but not by a lot. And then I think JPEX and Perry are like literally tied in my rankings for the runner spot. So I think it's going to be real tight between the two of them. And then in the other division, I think all four teams are really close. I think
Yeah.
B-Mikes and Pimp are my two favorites, with B-Mikes a hair better, but I think Bobcat and then maybe a little bit behind them Demo. But I think all four of those teams could really, would not be surprised if any of them won.
Yeah, man. I'll wait until Clone goes. I got a couple thoughts on that side. That's a good hot take though. Who do you think wins the whole thing? Or just, I mean, this league.
Yeah, I think Slick is if you put a gun to my head, I think I'd choose him.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And I would be so happy if Slick won, just so that I could throw it in his face that all the complaining, and he ended up winning the league, and then he would be like, yeah, but I won the league, and it'd be like, oh yeah. So he found a way to win either way. But I'm kidding, Slick. I care about you. Clone, what do you got?
I feel the same way about this, that everything's close in here. I have I might be shading to try to get rid of the redraft guys. So I have J-Pax beating Perry, and I had Slick right there too. I stared at them all. Perry went back and like did my old team. Like he's got all the slugging, and he's got a Howard Young guy on there. So I do really like that team.
Yep.
Perry had the bold move of building like a evaluation spreadsheet after the draft, which seems like he got the order of execution a little reversed there.
I did not see that, but I like J-Pax was another team that got a bunch of speed on there, because there weren't that. I mean, it was light on speed.
Anyway. This was the league that had by far, or I don't know about by far, but it had the lightest speed. Well, I'm going to say by far, because I don't know what else.
I also thought it had the worst pitching out of all four leagues, which is interesting.
This draft will separate the wheat from the chaff for sure.
And then I actually had Bobcat beating Pimp on the top side. Pimp gets enough love. No, I'm actually I think I just really like Bobcat's leadoff guy, and I went with that. Yeah. And I was also like, Bobcat, giving away. Bobcat was having a real good time during the draft, and when I went to go look at his team, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to expect. And then I looked, I was like, oh no, he actually knew what he was doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, it's all really close.
So my thoughts here, because I did look at this one for a long time, and I'll admit, I think my pick for Division II is just Hope, purely because I want to see them play in the playoffs. But I really do, even if I check myself, I do think it's going to be Perry and Slick. J-Pax's team's really solid, but I just think Perry and Slick came away with two really good rounded teams that can last a season, and I'm going to pick Perry, but it could be either one of them. On the other side, and I'm not just saying this, I don't think Pimp's going to make it to the playoffs. I think it's going to be B-Mikes and Bobcat. I actually thought Bobcat's draft was phenomenal. I really like his offense. They are going to run 9 deep in an inning many times this year. So yeah, that's my pick, and I'm going to take Bobcat over B-Mikes, and I'm picking Bobcat to win this league. I think that's a good team. I like it a lot. Okay, so
we had a bunch of differences in there. I didn't.
We did.
Oh, one last thing, just because one reason why I think I might maybe like J-Pax a bit more than you guys do. I think J-Pax has one.
J-Pax.
Oh well, then more than Zubaz.
Anyway,
I think his team had one of the deepest. I think the deepest in this league in terms of not just your starters but your bench and bullpen, which can be a little hard to see on the lineup screen. So against humans, I would expect if him, I would expect him to be the underdog in a series against any humans, but I think he's got like a bit of an advantage against drones to squeeze out a couple extra wins there and have a better chance of making the playoffs in the first place.
Oh,
So that's
kind of a deep cut.
bold take. Yeah.
I'm taking up a collection to buy all the bulletin boards in the world for Kohler because he has a lot of material to put on them. So Kohler, if you make the playoffs, like you deserved it, you're going to have to fight to earn this one, buddy.
He still hadn't set his lineup, so he can qualify. He can qualify that it wasn't his real team.
That might be throwing us off too because we're not seeing it in its full glory. But I don't know.
Also, Red's face says no.
I got to tell you,
I did him I set them myself, or I imagined what he would set them as, and it was, originally I was like, wait, like why does every other team win like 114 games and he wins 97? And then it's better, but I think he's in a tough spot because, as I said, I think the three best teams in the league in this league are in his division. So even if his team is better than expected, that's a lot of tough competition to pass.
They are tough. That's super tough. And then I do just have to shout out the people with the meanest names for anybody's spreadsheet were in this league, with Kohler being H1N1.
I thought that was one of the best names.
And Demo being R2D2. Both of those are great names. They were great ideas, but they really jack up spreadsheets. But it was funny. Okay, so now I am just so we're going to get these people to another draft with a draft we haven't even seen yet, and they're going to have to draft and then play a whole season and then play the playoffs. But I'm still going to put you on the spot based on how you've seen these folks draft so far and knowing them as little as you may. Who wins this whole thing out of these 32 teams? Who wants to go first? I'll let you guys pick who goes first. All right, do it, Brent.
That was me gesturing, but I'll take it.
I thought you raised your hand.
Look, my brain is just like, I think CK has the best chance of any team right now to advance. And so, like, even if we pretend we know nothing about what happens in the finals, like, you have to make it to the finals to win the finals. But I feel
that's a fair way of doing it.
It's a cop-out answer. So I'm going to zig and take the team that I love and you guys hate, which is Snow Wind. I think I've been hoping, since you announced this, my dream, which is hard to do with this format, my dream has been like some guy that like only plays in public leagues or whatever, like randomly gets an invite and he's never posted on the forums before, and then he just comes in and smashes everybody.
Like the Karate Kid.
Yeah, something like that. Some kind of guy who is like, I guess I'll try this like forum stuff. Like, it's too easy beating all the people in public leagues, and then he's just like honed himself so well. And so, as I said, I don't know, maybe this guy posts a ton elsewhere and I'm just too much of a siloed idiot to see it, but I don't know who he is and I love his team. So I'm hoping he's my pick.
Okay, that's a strong pick. Snow Wind, he's on record. Clone, what do you got?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go Dole. I think everybody needs to step up. I think CK is gonna run away with this unless somebody. Hopefully, people are gonna learn by the second draft, because somehow he got away with stuff this first draft. Yeah, maybe he got an extra pick in there.
The key is you just gotta start your seventh best pitcher who's not good at anything and shut out the best pitcher in the league.
I hope people step up, but at the moment, he did a really good job. So we'll see. I don't know who he would be beating.
What Rent is referring to is I just won the redraft World Series, and the rest of my pitchers, I pitched the third best pitcher in the league and the fourth best pitcher in the league, 4 of those games. But one game, because I didn't have a pitcher, I pitched essentially a reliever and raised the toast so that I could pitch Dunham and Guerrero, the 2 aforementioned pitchers, as a middle reliever one, the setup one. But then he ended up throwing a 4-hit shutout. So he never toasted out. So I think it was genius. I don't know.
And just for more context, you did this against the guy that is
by
like
far.
this starting bit by such a huge margin that Clone has been like, we need to auction off the first pick because it's so much of an advantage. This guy is head and shoulders. He gave up like 5 runs. Your guy threw
4-hit shutout. Yep.
Yeah.
And in the first game, did you see what I did in the first game? Because it was a big stadium, I got rid of everybody with power, and I had 3 bench players, including guys like Adelaide, Akbar, and people like that in my starting lineup, and I beat them that time too. So hey, sometimes just like snow wind, you have to go a little bit off the grid to make a big win.
Which is all to say a lot of it, a lot of things can happen.
No,
best laid plans of mice and men.
No, you're saying luck. I know what you're trying to say, and I will not accept your passive aggressiveness.
When my predictions are right, it's because I'm smarter than everybody else. But when they're wrong, it's because the other teams were
because it's luck.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm very embarrassed. I have to back up for a second. I realized I said
You have a pick.
I said a wrong team. In AL West, I apologized to VI. I said he was going to make the playoffs. He's not going to make the playoffs. I had Fiwix and Super Big Red, not VI. So my apologies. I just wanted to fix that real quick because I noticed it when we got to AL West, and I wanted to go back. VI is going to finish in last place. I'm sorry, you are in last place.
That was a big.
That was cruel.
That was a big change. Yep. And who I think is going to win this whole thing is VI. No, I'm just curveball. No, I actually think I know this one's. You guys don't like this guy as much as I do, but I think Cymatics is going to win the whole thing. I do think LU has a monster team, but that's also why I'm not picking them. And certainly CK is pretty damn strong. So Cymatics wins it in 4 games. Sweep. All right.
I would like for our predictions to be wildly wrong now when Rent's talking about.
Me too. I want Kohler to win so badly now. But it's not going to happen. There's no chance, and I'm sorry. More bulletins. Yeah. Okay. All right. So there we go. So had some fun with it. I think we can probably leave it there. So the idea will be that this group is going to come back when we get to the playoffs, or are we coming back for the playoffs or for the next draft?
Let's see how good the predictions go. If they go well, we'll do this like every week. If you may never see my face again if they go poorly.
There we go. And for all of you in the tournament champions, if you could reach out to me via PM or Discord, I want to do a couple games of the week, like one game each week where I bring the 2 owners on Discord, like on Zoom like this. And I'll share my screen and we'll just watch the game together, like a 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock sim, whatever works for you. So if you can work it out with somebody that's in your league, just let me know and pick a time. I would love to do that. That'll be a lot of fun. It's really fun to watch the game live. And so please try and find a partner to set that up with. And I will love to do it.
No spoilers too. We need to see the.
Yeah, no spoilers. You guys see it live, so we can see the pain and agony on one of your faces.
Yep.
Yes. All right. So we'll leave it there. Clone, any last words as we launch this thing?
Thanks for doing all that, Rent. I learned a lot about myself as I sat down to try to be you, and I looked at the stuff, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. Red could do that. I'm on the Zubaz side of. I don't know how this game works.
As I said, high numbers good, low numbers bad. So,
all right, Rent. What's the final verdict? What do you think?
Of what?
No, I'm just saying. What are your final words? I didn't mean to actually put you on the spot.
I got no final words. I've been up since like 5:30 a.m. So I'm good.
Okay. And well, I do know that knowing you did rank, it sounds like you ranked everybody 1 to 32. Now, I just want to ask real quick, of the bottom 16, who is the most likely to surprise and win the whole thing? Now I really am putting you on the spot. Who's your
So
underdog
I
pick?
mean, look, my bottom 6 team, one of them is a team that you guys like. I think Super Big Red, I have him as a
Oh.
bottom 6 team, but I think some of that is like low depth. So, my bottom 6 team is a guy that you guys like much higher than that, but he would be the easy choice based off my list.
Super Big Red. More bulletin board material.
I think,
All right,
I
everybody.
think
Oh, go ahead.
once you change your pick for VI, then I'm like, I didn't know we could change picks, but I've regretted not picking Perry ever since I said it.
And
Oh,
his team's not that good.
All right,
And
I
he's a
tried
terrible
Perry,
manager.
but they gave up on it.
He's a terrible manager. All right. Thank you both for being on here. I look forward to meeting again when we get to see how smart, dumb, or neutral we are. Everybody watching, I'd love to stick around, but both these guys have to run home. Till next time, we are out of here.